Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over some free agents that I think the Washington Commanders should target this free agency. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, hit that like button, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. All those things help out a ton. Okay, so let's get started. Free agency is coming up very shortly from now. I mean, Monday is when the legal tampering period starts, so that's like 5 days away. I'm excited for that to happen. So we've had this offseason a lot of different things like ownership, offensive coordinator, stuff like that. So I haven't been able to focus as much as I usually do on free agency. So hopefully the next few days will be all about free agency. So let's go in, get into some of the guys I want them to target, and I don't think they're gonna, go crazy in free agency because of the Dan Snyder situation. He is likely selling, very likely selling, 95+% chance, and he doesn't want to write. First off, he's about $1 billion in debt, so it's hard for him to write out very large checks. And the second off, he's leaving, he's selling the team, so why would he want to? Let's say, for example, sign Lamar Jackson to a fully guaranteed $250 million contract. He can't do it. Like, I'm sick of people on Twitter, and Ron deserves blame and criticism for some moves, but this Lamar thing has nothing to do if we want him or not. We cannot get him. Dan Snyder will not sign the check for that move to happen because he's $1 billion in debt. He will not do that. And he can't just be like, oh, let me do it so the next owner can do it. No, because it's going to be guaranteed money, and most of it's going to be in a signing bonus. So he's not, or a lot of it's going to be in a signing bonus. He's not going to be able to do it. And this is just a separate tangent. The Commanders aren't going to be able to get Lamar Jackson. That's just plain and simple because of the money. It's not because they don't necessarily want to. Some of the other teams, maybe they're trying to send a message about no guaranteed deals, fully guaranteed deals. But the Commanders, they just can't go after him until they get a new owner that actually has the money. But let's get into some of the guys I think the Washington Commanders should go after. So let's go first on defense. Linebacker. And I think the Washington Commanders do have a hole at linebacker, and they could bring back Cole Holcomb. They could bring back Cole Holcomb and go after a guy like Bobby Okereke from the Indianapolis Colts, who is a very solid linebacker. He might be a little bit more expensive than the Commanders are willing to offer, again, because of the Dan Snyder situation. He's probably going to get in that $12 to $15 million range, but he's a very solid linebacker. In 2022, played all 17 games, over 150 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 5 pass breakups, I guess. Was really solid. Was really solid with Darius Leonard, or I guess Shaquille Leonard, being out for a while, and he's been very solid the last couple years for the Indianapolis Colts, and he's going to get a decent amount of money. And, look at some of his advanced stats. I guess all these are going to get refreshed. But he allowed a 70% completion percentage in coverage, which when you look at it, you're like, well, that's high. Well, sorry about this. You're like, that's high. But if you really think about it, linebackers are mostly in coverage in short yardage situations. So, like 12 yard or shorter passes. So those are higher higher probability of being completed, so those passes are. So his, for linebackers, the completion percentage is going to be higher. The more important is the pass rating, and that's about 91, which is solid. If you're at a 91, that's not, amazing as a quarterback, but it's not, it's like a little below average, I would say. Maybe around average, actually. I'm at around average. Missed tackling percentage around 7%, so pretty solid as well. And, has gotten some interceptions in the past. Not a ton I want to see. This past year, I know we didn't get any. Whereas, in 2021, I had 2. So 3 interceptions in 4 years isn't amazing. But he's a solid coverage linebacker, good run stuffer. I would go after Bobby Okereke for the Commanders. 26 years old, 26, 27 years old. So able to get him. I would do like a 3-year, $38 million deal. Whatever you want. Get him on this team. He deserves it. He deserves it. And the Commanders have a big hole at linebacker. Even if they bring back Cole Holcomb, they're going to need another linebacker. So maybe like a 3-year, $40 million deal. That's about, I'm just doing the math here. $13.3 million a year. That's fair. Maybe he wants a little bit more. And if he does, I would still be willing to sign it. And I think it would, I still would like Tremaine Edmonds, but I think this would be honestly better bang for your buck than Tremaine Edmonds, who might want like 16, 17, 18 million. I'll take Bobby Okereke for 12, 13 million a year and be really, really happy with it. He did a really good job filling in for Shaquille Leonard. So he's one of the top guys I want next. And he's a good, high character guy as well, which is, very important to Ron Rivera. Next guy's a little bit of a sleeper, and that is a tight end. If we do go after a veteran tight end, I really like Foster Moreau. And because of the draft, there's a lot of good options in the draft, but, so I think that would be probably a better option. But if we do go after a tight end in free agency, Foster Moreau is a younger guy that I think could develop into a very, very good starter in this league. This past year, he played 15 games, had about 420 yards and 2 touchdowns. So let's say if he plays in those other 2 games, he's about 480 yards and maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns on the season, which is solid. But a lot of the season he played behind Darren Waller, and Darren Waller was injured for a bit, but I think he played at least half of the season, maybe a little bit more. And, as a tight end too, that's pretty good numbers, and I think he could emerge as a really good tight end if he's that starter, if he gets all those targets versus getting some of those targets. So he is someone I think the Commanders should target if they are going the veteran tight end route. And, there's some other guys like Austin Hooper and Hayden Hurst, but I think Foster Moreau has a little bit more upside. He's a little bit younger, and he's been, in the shadow of Darren Waller for the last few years. So he is someone I think the Commanders should go after. Not going to be cheap, but not going to be super expensive. I would think like $6 to $8 million a year, around that. And it would be, if that happens, I would move on from Logan Thomas. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But I just wanted to throw in one tight end option for the Commanders to go after. So that is the second position. Let's go to offense, and that is offensive guard. I think it's just Isaac Siamalo. Probably mispronouncing that, but he offensive guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's been there for the last few years. He's 30 years old? Yeah, he's getting close to 30 years. He's 29.3 years old. That's what PFF has. 6'4", 303 pounds. Third round pick in 2016 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Had only allowed 1 sack this past season, 6 penalties, which isn't amazing. It's not great, but the 1 sack out of over 1,000 offensive snaps played is amazing. And you got to take PFF with a grain of salt, but they had graded him out as a 75.2, which is very, very good. So he is going to get, I would say he's probably going to get around $10 million a year, maybe a little bit more. I would be willing to pay that for a few years. He's definitely an upgrade over what we have. And if you cut Andrew Norwell, you're going to save some money, and it's not going to be nearly enough to make up for what you have to pay Isaac. But it would be, be able to cushion the blow a little bit. So instead of paying $11 million a year, you're maybe paying like $8 million. I don't know for sure what the cap savings is for Norwell, but you're saving $2 to $3 million, and I rather just spend that on Isaac. He's, like I think I said, he's a Pro Bowl reserve for the Philadelphia Eagles this past season, and I think for the most part has been able to stay healthy in his career, and just would be a solid option, a veteran option that can come in right away, can fill in as your left guard. I believe that is what he played, left guard, and would be very, very solid for you. You don't have to really worry about anything. He's a veteran. He knows what to do in this league and would be able to protect Sam Howell. You don't have to worry about, okay, is our third round rookie guard that we drafted, is he going to be able to, step in and start? No, you have Isaac Siamalu, who can come in and at the very least be an average starter for you, maybe even a top 10 guard or maybe get top 10 left guard or whatever, because he was a Pro Bowl reserve this year, and I mean partly that is because the Eagles are very good, and that usually the best teams get the most Pro Bowl reserves, even if some of the players don't deserve it. But he's a really good run blocker, solid pass blocker as well, only allowed 1 sack, and he can fill in as your guard spot, and then you would have, who knows about Chase Roullier, maybe you have him at center, you would have Isaac at one of the guard spots, maybe have Sam Cosmi and and Chris Paul compete for the other guard spot, and then you draft a tackle in the first or second round, and depending on if it's a left or right tackle, you plan accordingly. If it's a left tackle, obviously you start that guy at left tackle and move Leno over to the right side, and if he doesn't want to move, maybe you move on from him. Or if it's a guy in the second round that's more like a right tackle, like someone like Darnell Wright, who I don't think will be there in a second, but let's say Darnell Wright, then you can have that guy at right tackle, and your offensive line would look like Leno, Isaac, Chase Roulier, Sam Cosmi, and then the rookie. And is that a great line? No, but you got a significant upgrade at guard with Isaac, and then hopefully the rookie is able to be an upgrade, and then Cosmi will be a little bit of an upgrade over what you had at guard last season. So I think it would be a decent upgrade from the jump, and then could be a significant upgrade down the line if the young guys develop. So he is my fourth? That was my third guy that I went over. So next guy, defense, Jonathan Jones, Patriots cornerback. And we do need a cornerback, and I think the Commanders, oh my God, the ads. I think the Commanders could go after a solid veteran like Jonathan Jones who can come in. And the thing is, I was trying to find some guys that are borderline starters, but it was hard for me to find a guy that I think could fit. But Jonathan Jones played really, really well this past year for the Patriots. 16 games. He missed one game. Allowed a 52.7% completion percentage, 73 passer rating, and I mean we can look at the missed tackling percentage. 9.2, not amazing, but it's not terrible. Anything under 10% is pretty solid. He played really well, and he can play in the slot or can play on the outside for you. So that gives the Commanders versatility, a lot of versatility, depending on what they do in the first round of the draft or the second round. If they draft the corner in the first round, well, you're going to want to start him on the outside, and then you can move in Jonathan Jones into the slot. I don't know. It would just be a lot of moving parts. That's why I'd probably rather go after maybe a fringe starter or a guy that's very solid but might not start for you. And I think Jonathan Jones would. So if you did that, you might have to move on from one of the corners on the roster. But it would give you like a guaranteed very good player at the cornerback position, and in case you aren't able to land a corner in the first two rounds that you want. So that is just something to consider. Again, very, very solid corner. 52% completion percentage is amazing. 73 pass rating, again, is very, very good as well. So he's a guy I would definitely target for the Commanders. There's some other guys as well. And if you guys have any sleeper corners that are maybe a little bit more fringe guys or younger guys, let me know, because I think that would make more sense for the Commanders. Last guy is, I was thinking about going tackle here, but I think they'll probably go with that in the draft. So I'm going to go running back, Jerick McKinnon for the Washington Commanders. Makes sense. I had to throw one Chief player in there because Eric Bieniemy is probably going to have it's going to have a lot of say, I believe, in the offensive personnel he brings in. And Jerick McKinnon would make a lot of sense for the Commanders. Looks like probably J.D. McKissic will not be here. He won't be here just because of the injuries. It's not certain yet, but the last 2 years have ended on IR with a neck injury. It makes sense for him to retire or the Commanders to move on from him if he doesn't want to retire. And someone that would be able to replace him is Jerick McKinnon, who kind of looked like, if you look at his 2022 season, very similar to J.D. McKissic's stats when he played really well for the Commanders. 291 rushing yards and a touchdown in 17 games, and then receiving wise, he played in 17, 512 yards, 9 yards a catch, which is probably more than J.D. McKissic, and 9 touchdowns. Besides the 9 touchdowns, J.D. McKissic I don't think got close to that. But in terms of the receiving and rushing yards, that's similar to what J.D. had in his good years here for the Commanders. So he is definitely a replacement. Also a good pass blocking guy. I don't think he'll get as many rushing attempts with the Commanders because they do have Brian Robinson and Gibson. But Jerick McKinnon's a good veteran to have in the room. Has been through a lot. Has had a lot of injuries in the past, major injuries, which is a little bit of a concern, but I think it would be fine. He knows the system that Eric Bieniemy is going to run, and I think it would really make sense. And you're not going to have to pay too much. And yeah, I think that would be a really solid option for the Washington Commanders. So that is it for today's video. Gave you guys 5 free agents I would want to sign. and I think the Commanders should consider. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.